One who
This
has joined
conference
us.
will now be recorded.
It is now 4 o'clock. My name's Melinda. I'm with Travel Central. We're based here in New Orleans, but we obviously do travel throughout the entire country. We welcome you to this incredible presentation. Today, we are very fortunate. Not only do we have a representative from Luxury Gold, which is a partner, a travel partner of ours. We've been working with them for over 25 years and only have continued success. Our clients always come back happy. So we're happy to have them on board. But they also brought one of their tour directors, Hazem, who's actually in Egypt today and joining our call, who has been traveling in Egypt and bringing tours in Egypt for the last 22 years. So I think we have a great presentation. We'll first start out with a little bit about Luxury Gold and what they do, and then Hazem will take over there from there and kind of share what we'll be seeing if you choose to join us on the Nile next year. At the end, we'll be talking about a special offer that we have that we're working with WYES. They are a local public television station who is offering a cruise in February. We'll go over the details on how you can actually join that cruise if you'd like to. Now, we realize that not everyone will be able to go in February, so please realize that we have other dates that are available that you can go on the same exact itinerary, just on different dates. So with that, if you have questions, we'll answer all the questions in the end. If you just put it in the chat box, and we'll answer those questions. As it said, we are recording this, and we will be sending out by email to everyone, as well as it will be on our YouTube channel. So with that, I'll like just to share a little bit about Travel Central. So Julius, you could just go to the next slide. Travel Central has been in business since 1988. We're located in the New Orleans area. Our only goal is to provide services to our clients from the moment they call us to learn more about what they're looking for, use our expertise and our knowledge from the planning process to your return home. We are your advocate. And the really nice thing about Travel Central, when you do work with us, you'll work with one advisor. You'll give them a call, they'll answer all your questions and make sure that all your details of your trip are taken care of. The great thing is we're also part of a large organization who can offer upgrades and enhancements to your vacation. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Julius, and Julius will tell us a little bit about Luxury Gold and then pass it on to Azim. Thank you for joining us. And again, if you have questions, please put them in the chat box.
Thank you so much, Melinda. Very excited to talk about this unbelievable itinerary. You guys are lucky today. We have a great guest, one of our travel concierge, unbelievable Egyptologist. Hazem is calling in from Egypt to talk through this itinerary. We're very excited to have him go through it here. I'm just going to talk a little bit about our brand, Luxury Gold, which is a gold star of our brands at TTC. And the great thing about our brand, Luxury Gold, is this tour itself ties into what we do extremely well with the curated experiences and the VIP experiences. And Azim will talk through that with you here, getting a chance to learn a little bit about the destination, immersing yourself with these great inclusions too. The stay, the magnificent stay on this particular itinerary. We're staying at the Mina Hotel, which is a great, beautiful property that Azim talked about earlier, is renovated, fully renovated. And also too, we stayed the Four Seasons, but the highlight of this is that the river cruise on the Tusca, which is obviously, it's just absolutely amazing. Exceptional dining experiences, which ties into what we do well. And then we include the door-to-door transfers and stuff of that nature too. But don't want to talk too much about that. I want to focus in on what this really is about. And this really is about Egypt and just the wonderful country that it is. And this itinerary itself is just a magnificent itinerary that really gives you an idea. And I'm going to pass it over to you, Hazem, to kind of talk a bit about this particular itinerary because I know it's near and dear to your heart.
Great. Well, warm greetings from Egypt. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm very excited about talking about our great program here in Egypt. First of all, I'm one of the traveling concierges with Luxury Gold in Egypt. We all have our special degree in what we call it Egyptology. What is an Egyptologist? We are specialized in the ancient Egyptian history. An Egyptologist is like an archaeologist who study the ancient Egyptian history, art, and language that we call it the hieroglyphic language as well. We're running tours for 22 years so far, mainly with Luxury Gold, and our special program is really special because that's cover all the main highlights of Egypt. When we talk about a great experience, we're talking about a special program, have a special add-ups and a special places to see in Egypt. Just imagine that you are coming to Egypt to squeeze 5,000 years of history in almost 14 days. So there's a lot to see and a lot to do here in Egypt. First of all, day one when we arrive to Cairo, we'll be taken to the magnificent hotel that we call it the Mina House Marriott Hotel. It's just located right in front of the Great Pyramids of Giza. We're talking about the only remain of the seven ancient wonders of the world still in existence, where you stay in that great luxurious hotel viewing the Great Pyramids of Giza. And also, part of that hotel was a historical palace that we call it the Mina House Hotel. And this is where they celebrated the opening of the Suez Canal in 1869 when they played opera Aida by Verdi over there. And part of that hotel, which is the palace, will be just renovated and it will be finished by the end of this year, hopefully, and it will be open to welcome our guests as well. So in Giza, what we do on day one, we go to visit our special ancient Egyptian capital that we call it Memphis, where we enjoy visiting over there what we call it the greatest statue of one of the great important pharaohs of Egypt called Ramesses II, that we will be talking about him in details. And also we're gonna see what we call it the second largest sphinx inside Egypt, that we call it the Alabaster Sphinx of Memphis. Then we're moving on to visit the ancient necropolis that we call it Saqqara, where we will have a chance to see the very first limestone structure built in Egypt that we call it the Step Pyramid. Then we're going to move on to Giza Plateau, where we're going to have a chance to see the Great Pyramid of Giza, which we call it the Pyramid of a Pharaoh Cheops or Khufu, and the second pyramid that we call it the Pyramid of a Pharaoh called Khafre or Khafra, and a special add-up for all our dear guests that's including going inside one of the pyramids at Giza Plateau, which is the second pyramid. Also have a chance to see the third pyramid of a Pharaoh called Menkaure, and of course, we'll end up that great day by going to see the Sphinx, which is the oldest and the biggest one ever, the greatest Sphinx of Giza. So we're going to have a special private tour around the pyramids, explaining all the history of the place in details. And of course, it will going to be one of our great highlights just to start our beautiful itinerary in Egypt by going to the Great Pyramids of Giza. That's regarding the first day in Cairo. Julius?
And we got the next slide here for day
Okay,
three.
let's go ahead.
Day three,
Well,
yep.
I mean, the day three when we fly from Cairo to Luxor.
Yep.
Upon arrival to Luxor, first of all, upon arrival to Luxor, we'll be going to visit what we call it the Great Temple of Karnak. And this is one of the great temples in Egypt and considered to be the biggest one size-wise. We're talking about a temple was built in 2000 BC. That temple, I'm sure that a lot of us have seen it before because it has been chosen to film a lot of great movies. I mean, if we remember from the 1970s, Death on the Nile, which was written by the famous writer Agatha Christie, it was filmed inside that temple, especially in what we call it the Great Hypostyle. I'm talking about the old version of the movie, of course, which was filmed in Egypt. Also, the Spy Who Loved Me, Roger Moore, James Bond, was filmed inside that temple. That temple is great and spectacular because it got inside it what we call it the Great Hypostyle Hall that got 134 columns. Nothing is equal to the size of that columns in any monument built all over the world. So we're going to have a private visit inside that temple. And after that, we are going to our lovely cruise ship. We're talking about the special one that we use. We call it the River Tosca. It's a beautiful, magnificent ship. It's a colonial style, and this is where we will be spending 7 nights cruising on the Nile. Also, in Luxor, we're doing something really special, as we can see on the slide in front of us. We were going to have a chance in Luxor to go to visit what we call it Luxor Temple. And we do something really special for our guests, exclusive for our luxury gold guests. We're going to visit the Temple of Luxor after hours. What do I mean by that? I mean that this temple, normally all guests coming to Egypt, they go to the temple during the daytime, but we're doing something special. We have a special permission only for our guests to see that temple after hours. When the temple will be closed, we go there to be the only groups inside to have a special exclusive visit. No one else will be around except our groups, and we'll be enjoying a private visit in the temple at night time. As we can see, when the temple will be lit up with gorgeous lights, and we get to enjoy that temple per night time. And that will be again exclusive only for our guests visiting the Temple of Luxor after hours. We do something really special. We'll be doing cruising on the Nile from Luxor, and we're heading to the north. We're going to visit a special temple in a province called Qena, where we visit the temple called the Temple of Dandara. Then in Luxor also, we are going to visit the west bank of the Nile, where we will visit the Valley of the Kings, where inside the Valley of the Kings, we're going to have a chance to see some of the highly decorated colored tombs of the ancient Egyptian pharaohs. Normally, in the Valley of the Kings, we found so far 64 tombs, and they are rotating between the ones open to preserve the colors inside. But we will always choose the best, well-preserved ones to show them to our dear guests inside the Valley of the Kings, just to have an idea how was the tombs of the pharaohs look alike from inside. Some of the colors inside the tombs, when you see them, you will think, oh, just colored a couple of days ago, because they are vivid colors, but they are all almost 3,500 years old. On the very same day, we'll be visiting the temple of a famous pharaoh queen. Her name was Queen Hatshepsut. Also, we're visiting two statues called the two colossi of Memnon. On that day, also, we're doing something really special for our guests. We have a special experience that we call it Be My Guest. We're going to have a chance over there to visit a special local village called the village of Buayrat, where we're going to have a chance to be welcomed by a local family in a special visit to their house, meeting the family, meeting the kids of the family, to be introduced to the local culture and traditions, and to get in touch more to how the locals live in that area. And also we're going to have a chance to experience a very special way of baking local bread on the west bank of the Nile in Luxor, that we call it the sun bread, where the man and the woman of the house will explain to us how they do that in details. And on that day, we'll be returning back to the cruise ship. Then we're going to start cruising on the Nile from Luxor south upstream toward Aswan city. On the way to Aswan, we're going to stop in a city called Esna, E-S-N-A, and this is where we'll have a chance to go through a lock, where the water behind that lock is 6 meters or 18 feet higher, because when we cruise in Egypt from the north to the south, we go upstream. Why? Because the Nile flows from the south to the north in the African continent. This is why when we go to the south, that means that we're going upstream. When we arrive after that to a city called Kom Ombo, where this is the only city that our captain will take us safely to stop right in front of a temple called the Temple of Kom Ombo. It is dedicated to a god called Sobek, the crocodile god. Then we will arrive safely to a city called Aswan in the south part of Egypt. And one of our beautiful adventures that we were going to do over there, we're going to do a felucca around what we call it Kitchener's Island. What is a felucca? As we can see on the picture in front of us, is a traditional sailboat, one of the old ways of transportation on the Nile in Egypt. We're going to have a private felucca with a sail, no motor on a felucca, just sail around a traditional sailboat around the natural reserve parts of the Nile, enjoying a view of Lord Kitchener Island, or what we call it, the Botanical Gardens. In Aswan city as well, we're going to have a chance to do the special experience that we call it a bird watching tour. We're going to meet a special tribe in Aswan. We call them the Nubians. Who are they? They are the black Africans that they are welcoming us. And we're going to have a professional bird watcher from the Nubians. He will take us. His name is Arabi, and we can see his photo right in front of us. And he is the one who's going to talk to us about the traditions and the lifestyle of the Nubian Africans. And he will take us, he's a professional bird watcher, will take us for 45 minutes on a motorboat around the Nubian villages, explain to us all the beautiful different types of species of birds and also flowers and trees on the Nile. After that, we're going to have a chance also to go to visit what we call it the legendary Cataract Hotel. And this is a very famous hotel, was built in 1902 by a famous British engineer called William Wilcock. And he's the one who designed the old Aswan Dam as well. And in that hotel, we're going to have a chance to enjoy an afternoon tea over there. And this is where famous celebrities stay, like Howard Carter stayed there, Winston Churchill stayed in that hotel, even King Farouk, the last descendant of the Turkish Ottoman family started by King Muhammad Ali in 1811 stayed there as well. A famous man called Aga Khan stayed there. Even Agatha Christie, when she wrote her novel Death on the Nile, was stayed there, and that movie was actually filmed inside that famous hotel. Also in Aswan, we're going to have a chance to visit two dams, the old Aswan Dam and the High Dam, which was built between 1961 and 1972. Also, we are visiting what we call it the Temple of Isis, located in an island called the Island of Philae in Aswan, and also we're visiting what we call it the Quarry of Granite, where we will visit what we call it the unfinished obelisk and get to know more about what we call it the obelisks of Egypt, that you call them the needles of the pharaohs, and they are located everywhere around the world. Like there one in Paris in Place La Concorde, it is a big obelisk. It is a big square column with a pyramidian tip at the top. And also in Rome, there are 13 of them. And obelisks over there, we're going to know more how they were cut them 3,500 years ago and how they moved them 100 miles on the Nile from the south to the north and how they possibly built them 3,500 years ago. In Aswan city as well, there is one of our special adabs. We're going to have a great chance to visit a temple called the Temples of Abu Simbel. They are located 140 miles, 280 kilometers to the south of the city of Aswan. And over there, we're going to have a chance to visit two temples. One is built by Ramesses II, dedicated to a god called Amun-Ra and for himself, and the second one dedicated to the beloved wife of that great pharaoh Ramesses II. Her name was Queen Nefertari. Also, we're going to have a great chance to relax and enjoy cruising on the Nile on the way back from Aswan to Luxor city. One of our special adventures that also we were going to do, we're going to visit a temple called the Temple of Esna, E-S-N-A, on the return back from Aswan to Luxor. And that will be one of our beautiful walking tours through the city. The temple is a Greco-Roman temple. And actually the temple recently in the last couple of months, they succeeded to clean up the soot carbon layer from the ceiling of the temple, and some of the bright fresh colors from 295 BC came back to life. And it's considered to be the best well-preserved colors ever we're going to see in any temple. Also in that temple, we're going to have a chance to know more details about the construction of the temples and the style of the columns of the temples, how they look alike. Also, we're going to have a chance to interact more with the locals around. We're going to have a chance to have a walk around the city of Esna to know more about the culture and the traditions and how the people live. And especially, we're going to get to meet some of the special people in the city. They do some special jobs that we don't think ever they are still in existence in the world. Like a man who's doing the stamps, we call him the stamp maker. something called the foot ironing, a special man doing ironing clothing by a special type of an iron. We call it the foot ironing. And we're going to see more details about how the local life and the local markets look alike in that city as well. After that, we're going to arrive back to Luxor and enjoy more cruising on the Nile. From Luxor, after we enjoy a lovely 7 nights cruise on our lovely cruise luxurious ship, the River Tosca, we're gonna fly back to Cairo. And when we arrive back to Cairo, we're gonna have a great opportunity to visit the Egyptian Museum. And here I need to talk to you about something important. In Cairo, actually nowadays we have two main major museums. We have the Egyptian Museum, which is included in our itinerary so far, which is located in Tahrir Square in the downtown Cairo. And that's the museum which was built between 1897 and 1901 and have a great collection of 55,000 artifacts. We're going to have a chance to visit that great museum, which is still housed some of the treasures of the famous pharaoh King Tutankhamun, like the golden mask that weighed 11.4 pure kilograms of Egyptian solid gold, and the golden coffin that weighed 110 pure kilograms of Egyptian solid gold. But actually, we all know that Egypt already constructed a new museum that we refer to as the GEM, or the Grand Egyptian Museum, which is located 2 kilometers or 1.5 miles far away from the pyramids of Giza. That museum is 99% finished, but is not opened yet. And we are expecting that that new great museum will be opened by the end of this year. So hopefully, when we will have the tour, that new museum will be open. So automatically, all the great artifacts in the old museum will be moved to that new museum. What is so special about the Grand Egyptian Museum, or the GEM? It will gonna be the biggest archaeologist museum in all of the world, built dedicated to one civilization. And this is where they will gonna have a chance to display for the very first time, after almost 100 years, of finding the tomb of the famous pharaoh King Tutankhamun, and that tomb which was discovered by the famous two English archaeologists, Lord Carnarvon and Howard Carter, in the 4th of November 1922. This is why in 2022, last November, we celebrated 100 years anniversary of finding the tomb of King Tutankhamun. They are planning to display the 5,400 artifacts of King Tutankhamun in that new museum. For the very first time, to have a chance to display all the artifacts of King Tut in one museum after finding the tomb after almost 120 years. And that new museum, we're expecting it to be open by the end of this year, hopefully. As this is why as soon as it will be open, it will be automatically included in our great itinerary. Also, we're going to have a chance to visit a mosque in Cairo, and that mosque is called the Muhammad Ali Mosque. And this is a copy paste of the Blue Mosque in Istanbul, or Hagia Sophia and the Blue Mosque in Istanbul. And you're going to have a chance also to explore what we call it the Grand Bazaar, or Khan al-Khalili Bazaar, to buy great souvenirs from Egypt to take home. That's just an idea about our great itinerary in Egypt.
Great.
Then finally, yes,
Go ahead, Azim. You can go ahead. There you go.
no, just something really special I need to add up. And of course, from the moment you arrive to the airport in Egypt, our team, our special local representatives will be waiting for you at the airport, welcoming you to Egypt, taking a special private transfer all the way to your hotel in the Mina House Hotel for the first stay in Cairo. And same thing on the very last day, you're going to have a special representative from Luxury Gold picking you up from the Four Seasons at First Residence, which is another great hotel to stay in for the second stay, taking you back to the airport, facilitate everything for you all the way until you get to the counter. So from the first moment you arrive to Cairo until the very last moment you're leaving the country, we will look after you very well.
Fantastic. Well, that was fabulous. I've been to Egypt, but it made me excited to go back to Egypt to see some of the new stuff that's going on. And of course, the new museum that's going to be opening up, that should be very exciting. And again, the Valley of the Kings and those different places are just fantastic.
And one more thing I
Uh,
would like to add for the new museum, if you don't mind. In front of the new museum, the idea of building that new museum close to the pyramids because they wanted to put all the great highlights of Egypt in one location. So they are planning nowadays that every single gallery or a room inside the museum, you always have a chance to see the pyramids from inside the museum.
Wow.
So
oh,
you'll be
cool.
like
Amazing.
living a dream, the Great Museum and the pyramids in one place.
That's
Plus,
amazing.
at the entrance of the museum, they did something really special. They installed what we call it the very first hanging obelisk in the world. What I mean by that, it is an obelisk was built by the famous pharaoh Ramesses II in 1260 BC. It has been taken from a place called Shorkeya in Cairo and installed in front of the entrance of the museum, and they made the base of the obelisk, giving a chance to the guests to walk underneath the obelisk to see what we call it the cartouche name of the pharaoh on the bottom of the obelisk, which was hidden for 3,500 years.
Wow.
Plus,
Right.
when
That's
you
amazing.
enter that museum, there is a great statue of Ramesses II made out of granite. That statue weighs 80 tons. The statue
Wow.
is almost the statue is almost 12 meters high, like 35 feet tall, and Adif Ramesses II is welcoming the visitors to the museum. The museum covering an area of about, let's say, 500 square meters. We're talking about a museum. The cost of building it is almost $1 billion.
Oh, geez.
Wow.
And that's
So
okay.
after
So that definitely something that we'll be able to see, and that's fantastic. Just to go over, he went over all of these things, but just a kind of overview of everything he just talked about, what's included. We have the 3 nights in Cairo, which is going to be 2 nights at the Mina, and then 1 night at the Four Seasons on the end. So when you arrive back in the Cairo, you'll actually have a night there. 7 nights, and I think we talked about the river Tosca. Do you want to add anything? It is a floating. If you've never done a river cruise,
Wonderful.
they're basically floating boutique hotels. This river cruise only holds, is it 82 passengers?
Yep, exactly. And
It's
it's
82
definitely,
passengers, so it's a very small and intimate, small ship, a brand new ship too, built within the last 3 years. So it's a good, when you go on the river cruise, all your premium wines, beers, all your food, all your excursions, all the things he talked about, going into the Luxor temple at night, going into the pyramids, that's all included in anything that we're talking about. He talked about that going to visit with a family and that personal, you know, meeting people in Egypt and Egyptians. That would all be part of this trip. And then you take flights between Cairo and Luxor. So from Cairo, you fly down to Luxor, and that's where you go into the temple, and then you board the ship there. As he said, you have the entire time you would have someone with you from the moment you actually walk off the plane, but all throughout the entire, you would have Egyptologists on board the ship who will be showing the different places and visiting with those with you. Um, One of the beautiful things about going with a group like this is luggage. You know, you leave your luggage in your room packed, and they actually pick it up and bring it out for you when you're actually in the motor coach to get down to the ship. And obviously on the ship, it's 7 days unpack and not pack, not repack. And a really cool other thing is they actually will pick you up at your home and bring you to your local airport if you live within 50 miles of that airport. So all that is included. And so if we can just go to the next one, it tells you what the pricing on all this is. Again, does not include air from your hometown. Judy, if you go to the next slide.
yeah, let's see here. There we go.
So it includes all of these things, and that's for all of that on a luxury gold is $6,765 per person. That's based on 2 people in a room in the hotel and on the cruise ship. The river boat actually is what they call them. We do highly recommend travel insurance. That is not included in that price. Airline reservations will curate for each person depending. Some people will want to go earlier or maybe go to another destination pre or post this cruise, and we can curate all that for you as well. The nice thing about it is to hold space on this. This year and to 2023, Egypt sold out. It was one of the most popular destinations. don't think that's going to change for 2024. So it's not too early to start booking this. It's $500 per person deposit for your cruise inland for Cairo. And then your final payment will actually not be due until October of 2023. And that's when you would travel on the February 17th date. As I said earlier, February 17th, 2024 doesn't work for you. There's other opportunities to go, so we can look for those. I'm going to look real quick at the questions. We actually have somebody who will be going on the cruise, and she is so excited. She does say, when do you recommend we get flights? And we are actually working on those now. If you work with Rose Val, she'll be happy. That anyone who worked within the office, happy to start working on those. Air has been this year very challenging. And so the airlines are filling up, and I don't think that's going to change again for 2024. So I would definitely start booking those car now to get the best rates and, of course, the best seats on the plane. Rose is an expert here at Travel Central, and she will be joining the group. We already have about 10, I guess about 12 people already going on it, and Rose and her daughter will actually be sailing, meeting y'all in Cairo, and then sailing on the River Tosca. And with that, I think the last slide is just to remind you, Travel Central has been in business for 35 years. We are your ultimate resources. All of our advisors are trained experts. We also have lots of resources to make sure that y'all are getting the best information before you travel and to make your trip a very seamless and stress-free vacation. And with that, I don't see any questions. Does anyone have questions? If you do, please put them in the chat box. And if not, I want to say thank you both to Julius and Hazem. Y'all did a fabulous job. You really did. I think people are excited about going to Egypt.
Can I
As
add
I
something?
said, absolutely, please.
Well, I just want to, the brief idea about the itinerary was great, but also on the cruise ship itself, we're going to have a special add-ups. Like, also we have a chance during cruising on the Nile, during our free time cruising on the Nile, we also have what we call it the luxury gold choices. There's a lot of activities that we're going to have on board. Like we're going to have a chance, for example, to see the Captain Bridge, to talk more about how the captains in Egypt look alike because they're totally different than anywhere else in the world. We're going to have a chance also to have a cooking demo, teaching our guests how they can do some of the Egyptian famous dessert and food. Also, we're going to have some lectures on board to talk about modern Egypt, to talk about women of Egypt as well, because our group, we're going to have their exclusive traveling concierge who is the Egyptologist with them 24/7. Covering all the needs they want, everything they want. All what we say, you just come to Egypt, leave the rest for us. That's all what we say.
Amazing.
And I agree, and I'm glad thank you for bringing that up, because that is true. It's not just about going to see the sights, but actually enjoying the cruise.
Plus, we're gonna have also some of the add-up excursions that maybe our dear guests would like to add them up. Like I talked a little bit about Abu Simbel excursion, and that we're gonna have it in one day that we including a local flight from Aswan to Abu Simbel to see these great two temples. Will be some extra add-ups for the tour as well.
And so, yeah, those things we go over with you. For anyone who's on the call who would like to look at the other ones, I would highly recommend that one and going up there.
Of
So
course.
I appreciate everyone who has joined us. Robin Cooper with WYS finally just got on. She had some challenges. Robin, we have recorded this, so we'll have it sent out to y'all by email tomorrow. I don't see any other questions. So thank you everyone for joining us today. We will send this out to you. If you have questions, just please give us a call at Travel Central. We have both of our phone, an 800 number and a local number here. And we look forward to answering any of your questions and helping you find the perfect vacation to Egypt. Thank you again. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye now.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Fantastic
Thank
job.
you for
Thank
giving us
you.
the great opportunity. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Looking forward
glad
to seeing you